There we are. Good evening, darlings, and the very warmest of welcomes to Saturday Night Live with me and you, of course. And we're going to be together for the next half an hour or so. And what day? Saturday, Saturday indeed. And we're going to be waving a fond farewell to old Saturday, and we're going to be welcoming in Sunday, which is a very special day, of course, because Sunday is the Lord's Day, isn't it, darlings? Oh, yes. And there are many other things that are special about Sunday. For many of us, it will be our bath night, and we greatly look forward to having that lovely, wonderful bath and then being wrapped in a big, warm, fluffy towel and sitting in front of the fire to watch Bullseye. What a lovely day Sunday can be. And that's without mentioning the good old Sunday roast, of course. So I'll just fiddle a little bit with my microphone there and get it seated more comfortably and appropriately. Are you sitting comfortably, little microphone? You look as if you are, and that pleases me. And what else pleases me is being here with you wonderful people. It is nothing less than a sheer orgasmic joy to once again have the pleasure and the privilege of your fabulous company. I couldn't be more grateful if I tried. I am as grateful as a man with an extra bum cheek that was fitted for comfort. That's how grateful I am for each and every one of you. And I value you collectively and individually. Collectively, I worship you as just a top of the range community. And individually, I would like to track each and every one of you down and hold you in a firm, manly embrace and tickle you when you least expected it until you giggled and wet yourself. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Anyway, I'd love to hear about your day. What have you been up to on this old Saturday? Obviously, goes without saying, I'm going to need to know what you've been eating. I would like to know if you've had any mishaps or accidents. Oh, what's that? No idea. We'll get rid of that. I'd like to know if you've had any accidents or mishaps today. And I would love to know what you are planning for tomorrow. Oh, so we're going to have a lovely, warm, and fuzzy time together. Oh, it's going to be wonderful. I can hardly wait. And because I can hardly wait, I'm not going to prevaricate. You see, I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Because quite honestly, that rhymed, darlings. Yes, yes, yes. Sometimes I like to make things rhyme, just now and then, not all the time. Aha! There you are, you see. Isn't this absolutely fabulous? Top class entertainment. I am sure you would agree. And what I'm going to do now, darlings, you might not be aware of this, but there is more to my live streams than me sitting, looking at you, and talking at you. There's more to it than that. You might not be aware of this, but if you look carefully on the screen of your portable electric device or wall mounted television, you might find what we call the live chat. And the live chat, darlings, is an opportunity for you fine people to interact both with me and with each other in real time. Gosh, how exciting is that? Tremendously exciting. About 8.9 on the Boaty scale of excitedness. So if you find that live chat, you will find that you can tippy tappy typing comments, which I will probably ignore, but I might read them out. And other people will read them, and they might respond to them. And you can read other people's comments. It's a veritable orgy of community horniness in that comment section, darlings. And that's what I'm going to dive into head first. Oh yeah, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to have a slurp of my wine because, well, quite honestly, it's nearly midnight and I need some. I've got too much blood in my alcohol system. I need to rectify that, darlings, and I'm going to rectify it. You see if I don't. What? I should rub it up. I should cocoa. I'm going to dive into comments, darlings. So, slurp of wine, and then we're going to crack on with it. Are you ready? I am. Here we go. Yep, that was a nice one. That was a, oh God, it's still going. It's still going. Oh, sometimes, oh my God, sometimes I don't know what to do with myself when I'm having a winegasm. So, and I feel like I should be doing something. Oh God, that was a corker. So I think in future, when I have a winegasm, I think I shall play with my nipples and softly moan matron's name, something like this. Oh, matron, matron. Yes, I think that would be a good way. Anyway, let's get into the comments. First cab off the old rank tonight, as he so often is Jimmy Mighty Quinn, followed by Peter P, who says, I've got a hard act to follow. Matron is here and says, good evening. Lord Stiff Upper Lip is right in our midst. Stratospherian has jumped in amongst us with a style and grace, which I have to say is to be commended. Peter P is with us. Mark Passad is here. Andrew Buttigieg, Ivor Spotty Butty, of course. Oh, Spartan. And some numbers, which are Spartan 935, I believe that is, says good evening all, and a jolly good evening to you, Spartan 935. We are literally filled with joy that you are here with us. If you imagine a jam jar, and then imagine that jam jar filled to the very brim. I don't mean like they fill them in supermarkets where they're filled to above the label, sure, but not to the very brim. Well, if you imagine a jam jar that's full to the very brim, and then it's got one of those checkered bonnets on it with an elastic band around it, that's how full of joy we are to have you with us. So thank you for bringing that joy to us. Alan Simpson is also with us, our resident little chef expert, who says good evening, Boaty, and all who sailed upon this ship. A jolly good evening to you. Oh, Neil's here as well. Good old Neil. Skick is here. Skick says, would it be a good idea for people to put some money in the pot to help with your trips away? Not everyone can, but some could. Well, some people have already done exactly that, Skick. Pingu Concord very kindly paid for our evening meal when we were in Llandudno. A few people, including, oh gosh, this is dangerous if I don't remember the names, but yeah, Jimmy, Peter P, and a few other people chucked in a few bob. The lovely Trisha only the other night popped a few quid in as a treat for Lemon Junior. And obviously, during the period when I have been demonetized, a week on Tuesday, guys, a week on Tuesday. That's the reapplication day. Well, I've been demonetized. Quite a few people have very kindly chucked in to help keep me going, and I really do appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, obviously, every little helps, as the old lady said when she piddled in the sea. So the PayPal address is there for all to see, and I'm incredibly grateful when anybody helps out in any way whatsoever. Neil is feeling up. Neil is healing up well. Still doing small walks and stretching. So good that you're on the mend, mate. You'll be back to normal soon, says Neil, says Andrew. Yeah, well, I mean, define normal. Emma is here, the disheartened cat burp, and says, gosh, that hair just makes me want to lick my screen. Good evening, you gorgeous and sexy vision before me, and good evening, lovely bogs. Hope you're all fine and randy. Well, I mean, it's a bit late for that sort of shenanigans, isn't it, on a Saturday night? I imagine that this community would have been randy a little bit earlier in the evening, maybe around the 8 o'clock mark. Sorry, that was fine and dandy. I apologize for that. And I apologize if anybody has been offended by either an accusation of not being randy at the moment or the accusation of having been randy at 8 o'clock when, they might not have been randy at all. They might have been having now then, here's a subject for you. Here's a subject for you. My grandparents, darlings, and I only have one set of grandparents. So when I refer to my grandparents, I'm talking about my paternal grandparents, my lovely Welsh grandparents. I do have grandparents on my mother's side, but we don't. But we know who one of them was, but we don't know who the other one was because, unfortunately, my mother came into being due to a rape, and the rapist or raper no rapist, isn't it? That's right. The rapist didn't seem to identify himself before or after he did his raping. He didn't leave a business card, probably because he didn't want to get caught, I imagine, and so and he managed to help in that regard by signally failing to identify himself in any way, shape, or form. But my grandparents were very traditional people, darlings. They would have breakfast in the morning at the table correctly. The table would be laid the night before they went to bed. They would have lunch at the table, darlings. My grandfather would come back from the horses, from the stables, and my grandmother would have prepared a light luncheon. And then they would have an evening meal. If it was just them, then that would be at the kitchen table. If they had company, that would be at the dining table in the dining room. But my grandmother would always prepare a supper later on in the evening. They would eat at what I would consider quite an early time for dinner. But then my grandmother would always provide a light supper, which, unlike any other meal, supper would be taken in the front parlour, darlings, in front of the old televisual. Oh, yes. And supper would be, it would be something very light, like some cheese and crackers, something of that nature. But I wonder, do you have a kind of rigid food schedule like that, where you have your breakfast, lunch, dinner? And do any of you indulge in a supper? Do any of you have a nice supper? I've only just thought that my grandparents did that, but they did every night. Every night there would be a supper. And I think that's a rather lovely thing. So do let me know if you or anyone you know habitually has a supper. I would be fascinated to hear it. Oh, there's some washing up liquid there. God, what a world we live in. I sprayed some surfaces with antibacterial spray tonight, just literally about 20 minutes ago. And Mark Passad, you splendid chap, that's exceedingly kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. That was that was a very welcome ping. The lovely Mark has. Is there a message? Let me have a look. Just in case there's a massage. Diddly do. Squiddly piddly. Oh, yeah, I agree. The message is the sooner YouTube sees sense, the better. I couldn't agree with you more, Mark, and thank you very much indeed for that. It's a massive help, and I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Alan Simpson says, the more bum cheeks you have, the more the cracks start to show. Oh, which is rather good, really, isn't it? Who's that? I can't quite make sense of that. Oh, I see. I see. Right, I understand now. Yes, yes, yes. Emma says, "Oh yes, I decided my handle should be Mpox because I bet everyone is googling that at the moment." Yes, of course, there is no Mpox or monkeypox as it used to be known. It's kind of been around forever, darlings, and it's a virus that is, well, forgive me for saying this, but it's normally passed from one person to another via the act of podgering, darlings, and very specifically, homosexual podgering is where it's been at its most virulent. Um, but it hasn't been particularly deadly. But this latest strain, which has been doing the rounds of Central Africa, and there are now cases in Europe, this latest strain is more easily transmitted, so you might not need to podger somebody in order to infect them. And there is a C and a T together. Infect is very much like insect, although the you pronounce it slightly differently, and one of the letters is different, but you know what I mean. Uh, I was infected by an insect. Yeah, so you might not need to podger somebody to infect them, and this latest strain is a bit more deadly. People have been dropping like flies, darlings. Yeah, dropping in their hundreds, they have. So, and yes, it's been identified as a global health hazard or whatever it is. So yeah, well, you never know. We could all be in for another lockdown, couldn't we? And some more injections. We'll see what happens. Um, I keep hearing references to the M11 on the Radio 2 travel updates yesterday, said Alan. And I was reminded of our very own Mpox. God, is that what we've got to call her now? Mpox. Dear, oh dear. Spartan says, "Good evening, sir. I hope you're well." I am. I'm splendid. It's kind of you to ask. Um, I found myself in a bit of a predicament, and I was hoping that your culinary expertise, well, such as it is, could perhaps come to the rescue. Well, I would be delighted to help if I possibly could. Uh, I imagine that you will go on in very shortly, but Neil interjects and says. Oh well, there we are. Neil is the flashing nips. That's Peter P. Back to Spartan. After a few too many bottles of wine down the old Fox and Hound, celebrating a recent run of good form at the blackjack table. Ah, well, you're leaning against an open door with me there. Uh, those are the best celebrations to have the old good run on the blackjack table. A very gentlemanly thing. Uh, I ended up being accompanied home by a very persuasive lady of the night. Well, why not, Spartan? Why not? I mean, if you've had a good run at the blackjack table, then you'd be a fool not to avail yourself of a reassuringly expensive and local prostitute. I'm completely with you on that one. Um, okay, that one made me laugh. Well done, Alan. Have you ever faked a winegasm? No, I've never faked a winegasm. I have faked an orgasm. I know that's, in common concept is more of a female thing, but I will admit that there have been the odd occasions where I've been podgering away manfully and just got a little bit bored of it all because the lady wasn't encouraged. Well, I mean, I don't want to be there, but yeah, I've just thought, well, enough's enough, and and just faked it, and you know, suggested that we move on to the next stage, which for ladies would be a nice cuddle, and for chaps would be a bacon sandwich and a cigarette. But no, I've never faked a winegasm. As you're the man of the world, goes on Spartan, is there perhaps something in my larder that could be that could be used to cool the old dipstick? Many thanks in advance, David Esquire. Um, oh, and Matron suggests plain live yogurt, which which is actually a jolly good suggestion. You could do a lot worse than that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah. Aha. Ah, yes, to cool down the old well, to be honest, I think it's all part of the procedure. You've got to tough it out and take it like a man, as it were. Um, yeah, I mean, chaps, we've all been in the situation where the old spam javelin is in a state of some disrepair after some overly enthusiastic podgering, haven't we? And yeah, I think you've just got to kind of take it like a man. I've left it hanging out before now. Now it gets a bit of air to it because it's worse if you can find it. But oh dear. Oh, you're tickling me tonight, you lot. Not literally. I mean, you're amusing me. I was speaking metaphorically there. Well done, Spartan. Uh, exactly. Correct, Andrew. He should have used Boaty's world famous pottering lube to reduce the inflammation. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Apparently, Sophie's going to have a bash at fitting the seats in whatever the Rover 45 that used to be called Andy Pandy is called now. Oh, God, I've forgotten what it's called. Something from South Park. Good luck, Emma. I'm sure you'll be grand. Partay a week on Tuesday, then, says Emma. Possibly not. The partay will be when the reapplication is accepted, not when I put it in, because they could turn around and say, no, we're not having you. Your pants, we're not having it. So, but obviously I will let you know. Skick's all good, so that's splendid. Neil says it's true. You can't say you're normal and be friends with this maniac. And Andrew agrees. We all have a screw loose to be here. Well, I like to think that we are like-minded people. Oh, wine buck coming up. 3, 2, 1. Well, I think we'd all agree that could have been worse. That could have been worse, darlings. I mean, I quelled it. I held it within a linen napkin. That could have been a lot worse. I think we've all got to count our blessings at that point, haven't we? And just think, yeah, it was a Weinberg. We've had worse before, and we'll have worse in the future. Oh, now then, food news, of course. We like to talk about food, don't we? I did have my Boaty Saturday. Well, I've got to tell you about today. I had an idea. I've been very tired almost all the time lately, darlings. It's been commented on, it's been noticed, and certainly I've been feeling it. And I thought to myself, last night I thought this. I thought, well, I've got nothing to do tomorrow. I'm thinking this last night. So at that point, tomorrow would have been today, Saturday. And I thought, well, I've got nothing to do tomorrow. I'm not going to make a video. I haven't got a video to edit. I've got nothing to do. The only thing I've planned to do is to have a Saturday brunch. So I thought, why not go really old school, back to what I used to do when I was a singist? And why not just stay in bed until midday? Because you're knackered, you're sleep deprived, you've got a mad week coming up. Why not just have a super duper lion, a really long lion? Just don't get up, go to the loo, by all means. I wasn't going to deny myself that pleasure because, then I'd have to change the bedclothes. But I thought, do that and then just get up and have your brunch. It'll be like a breakfast for you because you've just got up, but it'll be at brunch time. And do you know, darlings, I did exactly that. I woke up at whatever time I woke up, and I went to the loo and I turned over and I went back to sleep and I dozed. And then at the time when I really should have got up, which would have been 10, I don't normally stay in bed any later than 10. And I'm normally up earlier than that. I stayed in bed, darlings, and I just lazed around and I rolled this way and I flopped that way. And then I put up a couple of YouTube videos on in the background while I lazed around, and I stayed in bed until midday. It was wonderful. God, it was right back to the old days. It was absolutely splendid. And do you know, darlings, instead of getting up and groggily going around and making coffee and I woke up, I came downstairs. Oh, I was like a man possessed, I was. I was like a man possessed. Oh, what? I should rub it up. Well, I'll go to school. I made coffee. And I'll say the third time, I made coffee. I only made one coffee. I just said it 3 times. But I made coffee. I've said it 4 times now, and it was still only one coffee. But I made it, darling, so I know what I'm talking about. And, please don't call me a liar. I know it was only one coffee. The first one was, anyway. The second one was another coffee. But anyway, that's going off the point. The point is, I'm trying to tell you, I made coffee. And I did all the washing up. Just boom, bash, wallop, into it. I got that washing up done. I fucked it up all over the place. I did. Absolutely brilliant. Really splendid. Normally when I get up, I'm sitting here dying at the table. Ooh, coffee. Ooh, no, I was all over that washing up. I got it all done. Oh my goodness gracious me. And then what did I do? Well, bugger me with the toasting fork. I got on and I made my brunch, darlings. Oh yeah, I made it. There was a second cup of coffee during the making of my brunch. I'm not going to lie about that. Why should I? I'm entitled to 2 cups of coffee per day. That's what it says in the big book of rules. Now, there are certain times, certain exclusions apply when I'm allowed a 3rd cup of coffee a day. That didn't apply today. I was only entitled to 2. But I had them both. And I made this fabulous brunch. And with brunch, I had my juice. And because even though I got up super late, darlings, super late, I'm going to beat myself on the head to demonstrate how late it was when I got up. Excuse me. There, you see? I hope I've made the point. So even though I got up really late, I've already done the washing up. Oh, I've got a load of laundry on as well. There's what? God, I know. Tell me about it. So I've got brunch made, and it was a damn fine brunch. I didn't film it. I couldn't be asked. But I ate it. I cooked it, and I ate it, and it was bloody well wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I really did. And even though I got up late, right, oh, hello. The neighbours are back. Even though I got up late, I had brunch earlier than I would normally have lunch. And you know what that meant, darlings? That meant that I could wash up all of the brunch things before I went to work, before I went for my shower and got changed and went to work. So when I came in tonight for this live stream, everything's all done. It's all done. It's wonderful. It's the higher than the Formula, marvelous. So the lesson to take from this is, if you want to have a really productive day, get up a lot later. That's the lesson that I've learned. I plan to stay in bed tomorrow until 4 o'clock, and then I should get everything done. The whole cottage should be bloody spring cleaned. So yeah, it was a wonderful day. Why was I telling you about that? I'm not absolutely sure, but there you go. I've told you about it, and well, as far as I'm concerned, that's a jolly good thing. I always have supper, says Jimmy Quinn, and I'm heartened to hear that. That reassures me. That makes me feel that there's still some sanity in the world. Oh, I was telling you about my food, wasn't I? So I had my brunch for lunch, or my lunch brunch, or my breakfast, lunch, brunch, whatever it is. Whatever it is, I had it. And I won't lie, I've got staff curry tonight, darlings, and I'm looking forward to it. And tomorrow, and I do want to know what you're all having tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be having a leap up the larder door, poverty special kind of Sunday roasty thing. I forgot to buy something which I'm slightly annoyed about, but I've figured a workaround for that. Anyway, there we are. So there we are, darlings. It's a grand life if you don't weaken, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Oh yes. Ah, marvelous. Well, this is nice, isn't it? Just us having a little intimate moment, sitting at the table together in the wee small hours. Oh, and it won't be long before we're all naked and tucked up in bed, and then it'll be a bright new world in the morning, darlings, full of excitement and all of the opportunity that a Sunday brings. And Obviously, I hope you're all going to church, because if you don't, you will go to hell. I'm only joking, darlings. Of course you won't. Now, you can believe whatever you want to believe. That's your prerogative. And it's certainly not for me to tell you. All I can tell you is what I think I know, or certainly what I believe. And I can tell you that you won't go to hell if you don't go to church, for one very good reason. The one true God, which is, of course, the one to whom I am subscribed, and a jolly good God he is too, I'd recommend him. Well, he doesn't have any churches. My church doesn't have physical churches because they cost money, and money is better off given to those who need it. So there's not a church for you to go to. So as far as my God is concerned, then you can hang about in the comfort of your own home. You can drink a couple of bottles of wine with your Sunday lunch, and you can give your spouse a damned good seeing to. And, all he asks is that he doesn't even ask that you go on your knees in prayer, or even just say grace to him before a meal. All he does is he asks that you observe his. Now, they're not rules. Our God just has 8 things that he would really rather that you didn't do. All right? That's how easy it is to be a Pastafarian, darlings. All you've got to do is follow, as we know them, the 8 condiments of the Pastafarian faith, known as the 8 I'd really rather you didn't. That's the kind of God that we've got, darlings. He doesn't shout fire and brimstone down at you. He doesn't say an eye for an eye. He doesn't say that this is a sin, and if you do this, you'll burn in hell. All he says is that, look, there's these 8 things, and I'd really rather you didn't do them. All right? And that's all you've got to do. All you've got to do is observe the 8 I'd really rather you didn't, and you can drink and smoke and shag away to your heart's content. You haven't got to get up and get dressed and go to church. Oh, it's a fabulous thing, my religion. I heartily recommend it to all of you. As I say, he's a really splendid, low maintenance kind of deity. He doesn't require that much from you. But if you're not a dick And if you give a little bit of a shit about other people, you'll be fine with my God. You'll be absolutely grand with him. He doesn't mind if you drink. He doesn't mind if you fornicate. He doesn't mind if you smoke. He doesn't mind if you use onion and garlic in the same dish, darlings. Yeah. So there you are. There you are. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely Sunday. I hope you have a great day filled with happiness and contentment. I deliberately eat bad food because I enjoy the process of being sick. I enjoy the colours. I don't. I don't really. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, there we are. There we are. The point is, Jimmy Quinn always has supper, and I love that. Just when I thought I couldn't love you anymore, Jimmy Quinn, I suddenly do, because you habitually and invariably have supper. And I'm going to raise a glass to you and say that I consider that to be an unequivocally, or unequivocally, I consider that to be a jolly good thing, without a shadow of a doubt, as far as I'm concerned. I'm driving to Norwich on Monday. Did you know? Norwich? Oh, what a shame they're not still doing Sale of the Century. Marvellous. And I'm going to go on a monorail. Have you got any idea how excited I am about that? When was feature number 17? When was the last time you were on a monorail? And I'm trying to remember the last time that I was on a monorail. And God, when would it have been? Could have been Alton Towers. Could have been Alton Towers. Could have been Birmingham Airport. If I had to guess, I'm trying to think if I've been on one somewhere else. I mean, there used to be monorails everywhere, didn't there? Every Butlins had one for a start. Oh, God, a thing of childhood. Hill had a monorail. It's in Australia now. They sold it to somebody in Australia. Don't know if it was a private individual or a business or what, but yeah, Hill used to have a monorail. Hill, for those who don't know, is 321. A god awful shopping centre somewhere in the environ of Brierley Hill in the West Midlands. And the monorail station is still there above Marks and Spencer's, or one of them. Anyway, oh, hello. Oh, and feature number 19, I'll also be going on a roller coaster on Monday, darlings. Oh, yes. When were you last on a roller coaster, and which one was it? The last roller coaster I would have been on would have been, God, it would have been at Gulliver's Kingdom, believe it or not, amazingly. And it's not there anymore. So there you are. You have to laugh, don't you? Well, I mean, you don't have to, but you can if you want to. It's a bloody free country. You can wear the hat and everything. If you want to wear the hat and you want to have a laugh, there's not a thing in the land that can stop you. Go for it. That's what I say. Fill your boots. I don't know what with. Well, anything you like, I suppose. Oh, and another thing that has made me very happy indeed, darlings, is the sheep are back in my field. They were put back in there today. I'm extremely happy about that. I miss them when they're not there. And that means that tomorrow morning, darlings, the first thing I see when I open my eyes will be the lovely sheepies in their field. And that's a joyful thing. So there we are. Now then, I'm going to go back to your comments. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, yeah, you just watch me. Where did I get to? Alan says, my parents still do supper before bed. So anytime I go to stay, I'm fed tea and toast prior to slumbers. See, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing. Do supper, you people, all of you. Incorporate supper. It's a great thing. It's what used to make Britain great. It's a wonderful thing. I kind of have supper. It's a main meal for me because I'm not available during the evening due to being at work. But I kind of tick that box. But yeah, all of you start having supper, but don't get fat. Don't get fat. So don't have it as an extra meal unless you need to put on weight. Have a smaller tea, some of you call it, dinner for the rest of us. Uh, have slightly smaller lunches and dinners, and have supper little and often throughout the day. That's the way to deal with feeding the human body. Oh, what? I should cocoa. And I know this because I used to be a professional car dealer. We are experts on the human body and nutrition. We're experts on the human body because we, we went to strip clubs, and we're experts on nutrition because we used to like a nice lunch. Oh dear me. You don't have to be mad to fit in here, but it does help, says Peter P. He's a maniac, says Neil. A manic street preacher, says Andrew. He's a manic maniac with Momo and he's dancing like he's never danced before. Well done, Neil. That was rather good. It's just another manic Momo. Mark Prasad says, Alan, my folks were the same and it was rather lovely. It is. It is rather lovely. Do supper, you people. Get yourselves a toast rack, improve your breakfast, and have supper. Right, that's it. Come on. Come on. Supper is now going to be a community thing. Pass the Momo to the left-hand side. Have I told you the story about musical youth? And a lovely chap called Steve Pink, PVA Management, used to be a very good friend of mine. Him and his wife Maggie. Um, he was very famously the man who musical youth came into his office and said, "Would you like to sign us?" And he said, "Nope." Oh God! And about 2 months later, they were number one with Pass the Duchy. Good old Steve. He kind of redeemed himself by being one of the originating members of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire team. Who wants to be a millionaire? Well, about he must have because he soon became one. Steve was lovely. Steve was, and so was Maggie. I got my first ever email from Steve of PVA Management. I bought a computer, set it up. I didn't know what I was, didn't particularly know what this was in the ridiculously early days of the internet, when the internet wasn't a thing, darling. And the first email I ever got in my life was from Steve Pink of PVA Management. And he and his wife Maggie, they were lovely. He used to come and when I used to run talent shows, he and his wife used to, they would judge anyone that I asked them to. I only ever asked them to do the finals because they were like, you know, really important and stuff. But he did every single one and never took a penny off me for expenses. What a legendary guy. And his wife, Maggie Pink, was a cabaret artist. Not a bad one either. And yeah, I did. I guested. I did a few cabaret spots with her, which was lovely. Oh, happy memories. It's nice to have a wander down memory lane of an evening, isn't it? I'd better catch up with your comments because I'm aware that time is marching on, darlings. You've got beds to go to. I've got staff curry to eat. Quite a lot of you have already buggered off because, you know, it is nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'll tell you what, I'll just have another little puff and then we're on like the homeward leg, aren't we? I'll play through the comments and then we can all have a mutual happy ending. God, what a thought that is. We've had our supper and we'll have a mutual happy community ending. Oh, like we're all in some dodgy tie knocking shop. Ah, dear, dear, dear. Momo, I love you. Momo, I do. A London stroke surrounds community meet has been hatched and is now in planning stage, says Matron. Oh, that sounds fun. You'll enjoy that. Milk will also work for a hot todger, says Emma. Uh, I've never faked, says Emma. Not going to go without one of those bad girls. London Drinky Poo, says Peter P. Thanks for the tips for the old todger, says Spartan. Don't forget to like, says Jimmy Quinn. I feel like Spam Javelin needs to be the name for a future member of the Boaty's World Fleet. Not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea. Steve Colgis with us. Oh, absolutely splendid. Is Somerset House in London still on fire, says Andrew? No, it isn't, Andrew. They've managed to put it out. A super duper lion is a joy, whatever age you are, says Mark. I agree. It's very important to get the order right. Out of bed first, then the loo, says Andrew. Good point. Good point. God. Oh, there are worse motorways to be named after Emma, says Alan. The M11 is really useful for getting to the east side of London, and it used to play host to two little chefs, endearing it to me greatly. And then Emma says, "Oh, so the Emma-lumps are actually two vacant little chefs, then, Alan." Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Little Chef and Emma, says Peter P. The crossover we didn't know we needed. We needed. Oh dear. Oh. Dan Peters is with us. Haven't seen him for a while. Hello, Mr. Boaty, sir. I join you from Bedfordshire. Hello, Dan. My son cost me an absolute fortune today, he goes on, wanting all these new things, but I can't say no to him. We've all been there. Sherry is here, got to be me, and says, Emma, so we now know some things you are not disinterested in. When Boaty is rich and famous, says Andrew, we can resurrect the Little Chef restaurant of his choosing. Brilliant idea. It'll be Quatford. It'll be Quatford or Gilvan, one of those two. Or possibly another one. Oh, God, I'm going to have to think about that now. Oh, dear. Oh, John's here as well. Good evening, Boaty and all in chat. Hope you're all okay. Right, jolly good. Jolly good. Do you reckon? I've got no idea whether Prince Andrew is going to church tomorrow, Steve. I think there have been some periods where he was definitely saying his prayers. Oh, dear, oh, dear. I really hope you won't be disappointed by Great Yarmouth. The coaster and monorail are not big. I won't be disappointed. I need to ride the coaster just because it is what it is. It's a very historic coaster, and it's one of very few remaining with a brakeman. So I need to add that to my tick list of have-dones. The monorail, I'm not expecting anything massive. I want to tick that box, and I haven't got to stay there too long. I can go there, ride the monorail, ride the coaster, have a probably dreadful and overpriced hot dog, and bugger off. And no, I'm really looking forward to it. I know it's going to be a shithole. It's going to be like Skegness or one of those awful places. They're all shitholes. Blackpool is a shithole. Blackpool is the worst of the shitholes. It's just got a really good pleasure beach. But even Llandudno is kind of in bits a bit like that, but it's got so many redeeming features, both in and around it. So it'll be grand, and then it'll be fine. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. It's a monorail. It's a roller coaster. It's a box ticked. It's a lovely road trip, and I always enjoy a road trip. Believe it or not, I don't see it as a bind. The trip itself will be a pleasure. And then I've got Tuesday and Wednesday to look forward to as well. My cup runneth over, darlings. Well done, Andrew. I wondered if anybody would pick up on this. The citizens of Springfield were excited for their monorail. That was a brilliant episode, wasn't it? Brilliant episode. My last time on a monorail was at Meadow Centre, Boaty, says John. Oh, there we are. There we are. Last roller coaster I went on was the Great Yarmouth one, says Emma. Last monorail I was on was Minehead Butlins, about 1981, says Matron. Yeah, I've been on that one. So monorail snap there. Please don't encourage me to start eating supper, otherwise I will be about 50 stone, says Emma. Also, would be horrendous for my IBS. I would be on the toilet all night. Yes, well, there we are. There we are. Maybe you don't do it. Skick says, I missed Katie Hopkins on stage in my hometown. What a shame. I've always had respect for anyone to say what they think. I must admit, I enjoy her on YouTube. I enjoy her very much. And I absolutely would. Katie Hopkins, it's a yes from me. I just got threatened with a knife, says Steve Cold, from multicolored guys picking up a nut. What? Dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's horrendous, Steve. That's horrendous. Hope you're all okay. Dear, dear, dear. Dave Smith is here and says I'm pissed as tits. Hello, Dave. Yarmouth Market Chips stall, a famous Boaty, says Jimmy Quinn. Llandudno, the sort of leisure peninsula, says Andrew. Hot dogs will be cheap in Great Yarmouth, says Emma. And I've caught up with the comments, darlings, and I'm going to call it a night at that, because even though I was up very early indeed, I still feel kind of quite tired. And I'm going to have a lovely staff curry supper. And then I'm going to wave my little tinkle in the nighttime air, maybe sing a little song, and get myself off to the land of Nod. Yeah. It's been a lovely time with you tonight. I've really enjoyed it. I'm very grateful to you all for giving me your time and staying up late. I might as well stay till past. Come on, darlings. We've got 6 more minutes together to say our good nights or get anything out that we'd like to get out. I'll have a quick puff. What else is there that we've missed? Oh, excuse me. Oh, dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think you all know what I'm up to on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, don't you? That's splendid. Everybody started to say good night. Say good night. Shall I read you a bedtime story for the last 5 minutes? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh. I don't suppose anybody's free on Monday and fancies coming to meet us at Great Yarmouth. I know you're in Malta, Jimmy Quinn, allegedly, or washing your hair or watching television or something. Do you know what? If I had more than 5 minutes, I'd quickly whiz onto the internet and see if I could find where I got my bedtime stories from. But no, we'll call it a night at that, darling. We will call it a night at that. Oh, Holly's here. Hello, Holly. Now then, who is it? Was it Sherry or Holly? Who was it who was going on about? I've finally experienced what one of the lovely ladies, was talking about with the chat being against it. Right. I watched a little bit of Matron's live stream when I was having a fag break at work. Right. Now, I watched bits of it twice, as in on 2 occasions, and I was watching on my portable electric telephone. Now, the first time I watched her, then I've got it vertical. First time I watched it, then there was like half of the screen was the picture, the live stream, and the bottom half of the screen was white and messages. But then the second time I watched it, the live stream was full screen, and the messages were against the full screen background, not against the white. And whoever it was, I think it was either Holly or Sherry, was saying that you can't read the comments. You can't. It's awful, and there's no way to get off it. I couldn't find a way to get it to go from full screen picture back to half screen picture so that I could see the comments properly. Because you can't see the comments when they're against when they're running against the whole picture thing. So if anybody's got an answer to that, I'm sure many of us would be very grateful. But there we go. Maybe that's another one for another night. Everybody is saying good night now, and yeah, it is probably time. Oh, okay. Thank you, matron. First time we were in was before the stream started. Second time was after it started. And yes, it's awful on the phone. I tried turning it horizontal and that didn't help. So I guess the answer is that you're better off watching the live stream on a tablet, a laptop, or a PC, darlings. Oh, and Stratospherian very kindly reminds people to tickle the old like button before they go. And that would be a great kindness. I'd be very grateful. Um, the lunch video, Monday's lunch video, darlings. Two things about that. One, like all of the lunch videos, it's got very few views. They're always my worst performing videos. But number two, despite the fact that it's got very low views, it's had a hell of a lot of dislikes. people just seem to hate the lunch videos. I suppose it's because they're really long and unedited. I don't care. I mean, I know that you guys love the lunch videos, and that's why I do them. I do them for you lot. But quite about 40% of the people who viewed the video were not subscribers, and they've looked at it and think, well, what the bloody hell is this? I'm pressing the dislike. Oh dear. Right now, it's Holly. It's nothing to do with the. It's nothing to do with the way that I live stream. Nothing. Oh, sorry, Holly. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's because Matron was on a vertical stream. Maybe that's why it is. Ah, yeah. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe when it's a live, yeah. Maybe when it's a vertical live stream and you watch it on a phone, then it takes up the whole of the screen. But when you do a horizontal, right, okay, right, I'm starting to understand now. I didn't understand that. Right, it's now past. I am officially off. Thank you so much for your company, darlings. I'm really, really, really grateful. I've loved spending this time with you. And okay, right, I get it now. Finally, I understand. I'm glad I understand because it was confusing me. Right, darlings, that's it. I'm off to get my supper. Uh, may I wish you all a safe and peaceful night. May I wish you a joyful day tomorrow, whatever you're doing. And do try and take whatever bit of joy you can from tomorrow, wherever you might find it. Take really good care of yourselves and those that you love and who love you. And if you can, please join me tomorrow night, Sunday Night Live, slightly earlier, 11 o'clock. It would be lovely to see you there. All right, darlings. Thank you so much. All the love in the world from me. Thank you for being wonderful and for being you and for being there. And thank you for all of the support. An extra special thanks to Mark for your little for your contribution to the pot, which is going to be a massive help with Monday. Thank you very much indeed. All right, darlings, much love. See you tomorrow night, hopefully, 11 o'clock, Sunday Night Live. Pachoo, and indeed.